Do you ever feel like you're putting in hour after hour after hour and not seeing any results? Here's the truth. Stop thinking about how much time you're spending and start thinking about what you're spending it on. So today, my friends, we are breaking down the 8 productivity and study mistakes that are secretly sabotaging your success. And I guarantee number 6 is going to shake you to your core. Believe me, I understand what it's like to struggle with productivity and studying because, would you believe it, before I became a doctor, I failed my exams. It felt like the end of the world, but I did not give up. Instead, I spent months and months diving into evidence-based techniques, and the course of my life completely changed. 5 years on, I graduated from medical school and got my dream job as a doctor in London. So now I'm here to tell you all the things I learned along the way so that you don't have to make the same mistakes that I did. So here are all the sections, time-stamped if you would like to skip. Starting with section 1, the sponge that never soaks. What if I told you that the colour-coded notes that you have meticulously been writing for hours might have been a complete waste of time? I know, in school we were all taught that making notes is the holy grail method for studying, but here's the truth. Taking notes is like using a sponge that never soaks anything up. You think you're absorbing the information, but studies show it does not stick as well as we think it does. Instead, methods that incorporate active recall, like practice questions, flashcards, explaining something to a friend, have been proven to boost retention way more effectively. I have a full video going through the exact study routine I used in medical school that I will link here, which goes into a lot more detail and will tell you what exactly you can do to save time instead of making notes. But the next time that you're tempted to jot down something in your class, ask yourself this: are you actually soaking up any of the knowledge? Section 2, outsmarting the rabbit hole. If you are tired of getting lost in endless Google searches, then let me introduce you to a tool that will save you from the research rabbit hole. Research is such a big part of being a student, but we have all been there where we find ourselves 1 minute you're Googling something completely relevant, and then 2 hours later you find yourself watching a compilation of Gino from this morning's most iconic moments. But what if we could avoid all that, save hours of research time and get straight to the information that we need before we can get distracted? Say hello to Unriddle, the ultimate AI tool to radically simplify your life. So here's why I am obsessed. Unriddle doesn't just summarize research papers, it can pull specific information from PDFs, Word documents, PowerPoints, and even images. Think of it like a supercharged research assistant, making your workload lighter in seconds. But possibly my favourite feature, especially if you are a chronic procrastinator like yours truly, you can just use the ++ feature to instantly generate text or ideas and completely say goodbye to writer's block. But the biggest game changer, it connects related research papers for you. Yes, it doesn't just summarise the research, it finds hidden connections that you might have completely missed, helping you weave everything together into one cohesive masterpiece that will pave the way to getting top grades in half the time. Plus, the most disgusting part of writing a paper, for me personally, citing your sources. But with Unriddle, you simply highlight the text, click cite, and boom, you're done. Unriddle is your one-stop shop, so if you're serious about leveling up your research game, then head to the link in my description to try Unriddle out completely for free and see how Unriddle easily helps you tackle complex research in half the time. Outsmart the rabbit hole, my friends. Use tools that save your brain power for deeper, more meaningful work, because technology should work for you, not against you. Section 3, racing the clock. If you are always waiting until the last moment to get started, then this, my friends, is the section for you. Procrastinating getting started is basically like trying to run a marathon with your shoelaces untied. I have crammed before. I will link my video for advice here if you need it, but I'm hoping you don't. And I passed. I was fine, but the issue was the moment I left my exam, I could not remember a single thing that I had crammed. Starting late might give you the thrill of urgency, but trust me, you're setting yourself up for a crash. By starting early, you won't just notice the benefits in the short term, maybe for the exam coming up, but your brain will have much more time to consolidate the information, making it more likely that you'll remember the information over the long term for the next exam you have, and even the exam you have after that. Bottom line, you're making life easier for future you, and it's more efficient. Plus, racing against the clock is not good for stress. Research shows that starting earlier doesn't just lower stress, but it also gives you more time to refine your work and actually enjoy the process. And if you're sitting there right now thinking,
Faye, it is very easy for you to sit there on your little screen preaching everything that you already know that you should be doing.
but I have been there myself. I have sat there knowing that the right thing to do is to start early and still not done it. I have ADHD. It is ingrained in my DNA to crave the adrenaline of the cram, and it took me far too long to realise how detrimental that was to my health and my grades. So instead of just preaching, I'm going to give you a strategy that has actually helped me, and that is splitting up tasks into smaller chunks. And not just smaller chunks, I'm talking splitting it down to the minutiae. The only way I ever get anything done when I'm procrastinating is giving myself a little dopamine kick from doing the bare minimum. Because for me personally, when I get that little dopamine kick from, let's say, writing the first sentence, that is exactly what I need to motivate me to write the second sentence, the first paragraph, and ultimately finish the essay. So that is my challenge for you today. If you have an exam to study for, do 10 practice questions, even 5. If you have an essay to write the first sentence, and watch how once you get over the hump of starting, everything becomes easier. Section 4, the power of the hive. If you think that studying alone is the best way to focus, then you could be missing out on my favourite productivity and studying secret weapon. Bees don't work solo, they rely on the hive. And if you've seen the Bee Movie, you'll know that there's a reason for that. Collaboration amplifies productivity. And when you help your friends study or they help you, you're not just sharing knowledge, but you're also cementing your own understanding in the process. According to research, collaborative learning actually reduces your cognitive load, making it easier to understand complex topics. But the hive mindset isn't just about teamwork, it's about efficiency. You cover more ground faster and everybody wins. But there is a caveat to studying with your friends. I'm sure they won't mind me saying this, but my friends Sophia and Rafi were an absolute nightmare to study with in the library, which I'm sure you can imagine if you've been here a while and you have seen the plethora of library TikToks that were made when we were meant to be studying for our finals. But just by being in their presence, my stress levels were reduced, and if I had any questions whilst I was doing, say, a mock exam, they were an efficient and effective resource for saving time because they were a wealth of information, and by discussing a question that was better for all of our learning. That did not make them any less distracting though. Back then, I used to get around this by playing white noise through my ears to block out the sound of their giggling when I was trying to work. But now I have my Loop earplugs, which are amazing if you love the energy of being around the hive, but don't like the distraction. Section 5, the pit stop paradox. If you're someone who gets severe study guilt, aka you feel guilty when you're doing anything but studying, like having a break, then don't. I know I'm quite late to the party, but myself and my boyfriend have just started watching Drive to Survive on Netflix, and it always baffles me how they're driving hundreds of miles an hour and then they just stop. But the pit stop paradox is this: when you pause, you actually move faster in the long run. Studies show that structured breaks boost focus and keep your brain sharp. Now, this may seem a little bit controversial from me, given that I recently posted a video about how I study for 12 hours with no breaks that I will link here. But the key is structured breaks. When you see a pit stop in F1, no one is messing around. It doesn't look fun, and I'm pretty sure that everyone involved is very excited for the driver to be back on the track. The punchline to the video where I talk about not taking breaks is, I don't take breaks, I just like to call them breathers. So what on earth is the difference between a break and a breather, I hear you ask, Faye? Well, wonderful question. My criteria for a breather is the activity has to be less fun, less stimulating, less appealing than studying. So in my breathers, Netflix, social media, phones are all banned. But I would encourage walks, hydrating yourself, meditation, maybe some exercise or breath work. Section 6, juggling fire The worst misconception about productivity, without a shadow of a doubt.
Multitasking makes you more productive.
Juggling tasks is like juggling fire.
You're gonna get yourself burnt.
Research from Stanford shows that multitasking lowers efficiency and increases the risk of mistakes. Your brain can only truly focus on one thing at one time. Yes, including women. Not only that, when you try and multitask, you miss out on the beautiful, mystical land of flow state. If you do not know what flow state is, then hello, welcome to the channel. I'm guessing you're new here because I basically talk about it in every single one of my videos. Flow state is where you become so immersed in a task, it might actually start to become enjoyable. So next time you sit down at your desk, I beg, put down the fire sticks and focus on one task and one task only so you can chase the mystical lands of flow state. You'll get through your work faster, with less stress, and God forbid, you may even get some joy from it. Section 7, aimless arrows. When you don't set clear goals, you're like an archer shooting without a target. Your efforts are scattered and unfocused, and you're wasting precious time. Setting specific, achievable goals gives you a sense of direction, motivation, and purpose. Research suggests that goal setting significantly boosts performance because it gives the brain a roadmap. I go through my personal goal setting system in a video I will link here. Section 8, the echo effect. It is horrifying how many students I have encountered who think that after one revision session, that is you done, the topic checked off, you never have to think about it ever again. If you've ever yelled in a cave, you'll know how an echo makes a sound linger and then fade. But if you shout again, the echo comes back just as loud as before. The same goes for reviewing what you learn. This is the echo effect. Reviewing material after you study helps it stick in your brain over the long term. Techniques like spaced repetition, where you review material at spaced intervals, have been shown to improve memory retention by huge margins. And by improving your memory retention, you'll also be saving yourself time because you'll retain more and you'll be ready to ace your exams without having to cram last minute. I explain how I implement this into my personal study routine in the video I will link here. So now you know how you are wasting time, but do you know how to manage your time effectively? You may want to watch this video here where I break down my time management strategies for balancing working full-time as a doctor with running a business, or this video that's been specifically recommended for you. And of course, check out the link in my description to go and try Unriddle for yourself for free. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you in the next video.